Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. Third and final movie for this review session, and possibly the last one I will get to see before the end of the year. The end of the year is in like 2 or 3 days, and I doubt I'll get back to the theater in time to see the other movie I wanted to see, which there was only like one more I really wanted to see. If I can squeeze it in, I will. If not, this will probably be the last video of 2016, going into 2017. As far as movie reviews anyway. So the final movie I got to see is Passengers. So what did I think of Passengers? Well, it's not as bad as all the reviews I've been seeing for it online say it is. And just for the record, I do try to avoid reading or watching other people's reviews until after I've seen a movie, just so it doesn't influence the things that I say about the movie. But things have been popping up on like Facebook where it's just like a caption like Passengers worst movie of 2016 or whatever. And honestly, it's not. I've seen worse this year. The problem with Passengers is it's kind of uneventful until the last 20 minutes. So you've basically seen the entire movie in the previews. They're on a ship that's going to a new planet, and they're supposed to be asleep for 120 years, and one of the passengers, through a malfunction, wakes up 90 years early. And he's trying to figure out why, what happened, what's going on. But through the course of the movie, when he wakes up, he doesn't bother trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, he kind of does for the first few minutes, and then after that, he just kind of like, I guess I'm just alive for the next 90 years by myself on this space station. And he just kind of like lives up his life until he gets bored, and then he's kind of like going mad. And he decides to wake up one of the other passengers, so he has a companion, someone to talk to, other than the robots on the ship. So he wakes up this girl who he kind of thinks is beautiful and doesn't really know anything about other than that. And she's kind of the same way at first, like, I'm not willing to give up and, say that there's nothing we can do to get back into hibernation and blah, blah, blah. So then he kind of lets her, go through the motions and everything, and then she finally becomes accepting of, we're stuck here together, and they start to form a relationship. And at one point in the relationship, she finds out that her waking up wasn't an accident like his was. He woke her up, so then she kind of hates him for a little while. And then a third person wakes up, who I guess was one of the commanding officers of the ship, and he kind of has more of an idea of what's going on, and he starts revealing, obviously, if there's malfunctions and something went wrong, we got to figure out what it was and fix it. Which, again, the first guy that woke up is an engineer. He should know, okay, let me start checking things and see what's going on. But there's like certain areas he doesn't have access to because his clearance level isn't high enough and whatnot. So now that the captain's awake, he can get into these restricted areas and find out what's going on. And of course, for some reason, the captain is sick and ends up dying, which why would you send a sick person on this type of a voyage? But I think they said it was something went wrong with his pod, and that's what caused his illness to where he ended up dying. It wasn't just natural causes. So over the course of everything, they're trying to repair the damage to the ship. And the guy who first woke up has to put his life in danger to do it. And because she's panicking about being alone on the ship, if he were to die, then she starts to forgive him and says, I want you to come back to me, blah, 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 blah. So everything gets resolved. Big spoiler. They fix the ship. Everything's fine. And he says there's a way to get them back into stasis, but it's only good for one person. And since he woke her up, he's willing to put her back in and live by himself until he dies. And she's like, well, if I'm going to go back in, I would want to be able to see you again when I wake up. So if you're not going to be there, there's no point for me to go back in. So they just live out their lives on the ship somewhere. Then it cuts to 90 years later. The rest of the crew starts waking up and everything's just a big mess. And she had written down basically a journal of all the events that happened leading up to that point. So it's kind of like the crew is aware of what happened while they were asleep. So if they suddenly find within this mess 2 corpses, now you know why. And yeah, that's kind of the end of the movie. Like I said, it's kind of just him waking up, dicking around for about 45 minutes, waking her up, her being mad, and then dicking around for another 45 minutes, then her hating him for another 20 minutes, then the captain showing up, then the last 20 minutes is them fixing the ship and living happily ever after. And that's basically the movie. So like I said, it's not the worst movie I've seen of the year like everyone's trying to say it is. It's just kind of uneventful other than the last 20 minutes, but part of that is story-driven. It has to be like that in order to get from A to B. What would I give it as far as a star rating? I would honestly give it probably a 3. It's just kind of middle of the road, not eventful, but it does have a story to it. I wasn't bored watching it at any point. I wasn't like, okay, get on with it. It kept a steady pace throughout everything happening. So yeah, I think it just kind of earns a middle of the road. Like I said, it's not the worst movie I've seen. I don't think it deserves all the comments that it's getting on Facebook about being the worst movie of 2016. But that's just my personal opinion. You're entitled to yours. So that is it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are down in the description. Click the bell up there in the corner. Make sure you're getting alerts when I post new videos. And until next time, we'll see you after the credits.